Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all happy and healthy doing the thing. Oh, the internet just kicked. 7 seconds into the internet's dropping already. Yay! I hope you guys can do me a favor, guys. Smash the like button for me. As you take your shoes off, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell and drop your comments. Drop your comments. Let me know your thoughts on today's topics. How's everybody doing? We're breaking the back of the first week, aren't we? It's going quite quickly, I feel like. Don't know why. Maybe I'm just busier than usual. But I feel like there's a way here to get through it. We've got some transfer news, views, and clues for you, ladies and gentlemen, today, which we're going to talk about. I have pinned a video channel here, right? So shameless plug. I know that most of you, or a lot of you, won't be interested in this stuff, but I've started a new channel called Rabbit Hole Ramblings, which is really good fun if you're interested in conspiracy and just figuring out how the world works. A load of it's obviously wrong, a load of it's waffle, but doing it with some guys. Eugene's a big part of the show. Nikos is a big part of the show, and we're bringing in more and more guests. And it's just really, really good fun. There's only like 360 odd subscribers at the moment, so I just thought I'd sort of share the link if you guys are interested in that stuff, in case you hadn't heard about it. And I might even drop the intro video that I spent this morning making. I love a little project to distract me from normal life. I'll do that at some point during the show if you're interested. If you're not, then I won't bother. Let me know. Let's say hello to some people, and then we will get straight into all of the news. It's quite a lot of news. I've got about 15 tabs open. Some news from Vuskovic, some news about transfers, lots of different transfers. We got Takefusa Kubo, Jared Bowen, João Palhinha, Alex Scott, Ivan Toney, Rodrigo, Morgan Rogers, Rafael Leao, Jonathan David. Lots and lots of things. Excuse me, lots and lots of things to be chatting about. And we've also got some news about some sponsorship stuff as well. So it'll be should be a sharp hour, hopefully, maybe a little bit more. But make sure you do smash the subscribe. Let's find out who's in the house. Tony's in the house. Alex Scott, I'll pass on the rest of them. What, all of them? Oh, by the way, there's also a story about the forgotten man at Tottenham, Manor Solomon. He's not having a good time out in Spain. He's not playing very well, not playing very much. And he wants his loan terminated. Apparently, there's interest in the Premier League from teams like West Ham that would want to take him for the second half of the season. But it does beg the question, given how riddled we are with injuries, and at the top end of the pitch, is there any chance? Is there any chance at all that we would maybe bring him back and give him some minutes? I mean, listen, at the moment, we don't have a lot going on, do we? And it doesn't look like any of these players are coming back anytime soon. Like Dejan Kulusevski's not going to be ready until, at best, I would say, some point in January. Solanke, no idea. Absolutely no idea. He's just on the grass, I think. Oh, sorry, Dejan's just on the grass rather. Solanke, I don't think there's any chance we'll see him probably until December earliest, if at all. Maybe he won't even be back until January. Kolo Muani's out until February. Kudus, don't know. Hopefully not long. And obviously Maddison is out for a long time as well. It's pretty thin, isn't it? Pretty thin at the top. However, what I would say is, I think people overlook this. When you've got 11 injuries and you're still able to put out a team like we have been able to put out, I think, not that we ever in a situation, guys, when we have, we never have a full strength squad to choose from. Never, ever, ever, never. Like, it's crazy. Injuries are the biggest problem. Our medical team's inability to get players back healthier quicker, or to somehow protect these players from these long-term muscle injuries, or obviously there's bad luck in some events with ACLs and things, but we seem to be cursed with an injury thing. And so, I still think it's a testament to the club that they've kind of got a decent level of depth. We haven't got any superstars in the team, like any worldies, but we do have relative depth across the squad. And we've got some outgoing transfers as well, which will be interesting to go through. But maybe there's a Manor Solomon thing, though. We'll get to that in a minute. Let me say hello to some people first. Big up to Destiny, moderating in chief. Good to see you, buddy. Mashing a Joe. Big up to you, Joe. Sean, I was looking at Jupiter with the naked eye. It's beautiful. Giant of a planet. Apparently, that was. I was getting a little bit frustrated last night with the kind of the lack of consistent logic on that one, But I like listening. It's great fun. It's great fun chatting about these things. I love it. It's always good fun to have different perspectives and opinions, and it passes the time in the boring transfer window, doesn't it? I thought Nico said that it was underwater last. He thinks it is. He thinks that there's the waters above and the waters below, doesn't he? Future fact, says Dave Hamilton. Big up to you, mate. Big up to Artie. Big up to Finn Rickwood. Good to see you, Stephen. Good to see you, Jake. How you doing, Scotty? Good to see you as well, mate. I appreciate that, mate. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, it was good fun. Big up to you, Tony. Big up to you. Where is Helga? It's a good question, mate. It's a good question. Where is Helga? Where's my Helga, anyway? Big up to you, Warchill. Big up to you, Danny. Good to see you. The Men in Black messing with your internet. Someone definitely is. Hackers are back, probably. Adam's in the house. Big up to you, mate. Big up to James. Slum Lord from hell. Hey, Sean, I hope you're well. I'm good, my man. I'm good. I hope you are too. Who else we got going on? Love a conspiracy chat. Jake Evans saying, if last transfer window was anything to go by, I'm excited for this window. It's amazing, isn't it? How like some people are saying that the window was trash simply because it wasn't, we didn't fix everything, and because we have ended up having 11 injuries at the same time. But others think that the window was really good. I tend to lean into relative to other windows, Jake. I tend to lean into you. Like this last summer versus the summer before, no comparison in terms of adding real quality, and that has to be the kind of way now, right? I've got no problem if Tottenham want to kind of find £1 or £2 million kids here and there or whatever to spray and play on the futures like the Mason Melias and all that sort of stuff. But really, right now, Tottenham Hotspur need to spend. If you have £200 million to spend, it really only needs to go in 3 directions or 4 directions. You can't be spending 200 million quid over 12 players and stuff. We've got enough potential talent, youth players coming through that are doing well on loan. There's lots of good stories out on loan. We've got enough young players around the first team already, and we've got a fairly decent depth relative to where we're at. So now let's just bring in just top signings, right? No more £20 million players, because it doesn't improve us. It doesn't move the needle. There's the hardest yard is the final yard, right? Trying to get into the parts where you go to a game like Arsenal and you're confident that you've got a good chance. Go to Liverpool and you think, you know what? I rate us today. I think Tottenham are going to do it. Not just saying it because you're a fan, but genuinely believing that. And I don't think Tottenham have got anywhere near the sort of the superstar caliber players. But like you say there, Jake, Kudus, Polinia, Kolo and Simmons, on paper, it was a really good, impressive 4-ball of players that hopefully, when all fit and all firing, certainly improve us. We know Kudus is a massive improvement. That's been proven. Polinia too. Kolo has just been super unfortunate, hasn't he? He's been here 3 months and he's played 3 games. And Simmons is going to be a baller. But I think there's a couple of things at play with the Xavi Simmons story. I think one is, this pendulum, I've been talking about it with you guys for ages, the pendulum of football, because everybody's moved to this. Well, first of all, it started with teams that defend with a low block and encourage horseshoe football from the opposition. They've managed to improve their ability to defend at a faster amplitude than teams are able to break them down, which results in other things happening. You then have this movement towards team-based man-to-man marking, which like 15 or 16 teams employ, especially when they're on the road. And, and so on. When you have those sort of situations and they're becoming very good at it, the natural inclination then is to figure out ways, how do you play around someone who's doing a team press and who executes it very well? And one of the ways is just to beat the guy in the actual duel, the person who you're combating. Another person is to try to drag players out of position. And Maddison was pretty good at doing that last year right? He was getting man-to-man mark when he was playing in the 10, and so he was coming into the 8 role. And then sometimes he was coming all the way down towards the centre-backs to pick the ball up, because if they're being instructed, if the opposition are being instructed to do man-to-man, then that person who's marking him, whether that's a centre-back or a DM, is naturally supposed to follow that player. But they get to a point where they're getting pulled all out of position. And then if they do that, if Maddison was to do that well, he could then win the ball back. The DM is pulled forward in the effort to try to follow the instruction. He could then pass it to someone like a Romero, who could then launch the ball back into the top and try to sort of do something over the top in that regard. Doesn't always work, but that's one of the options of how you do it. And the other option, of course, is to have technical players that can sort of do 1-2s and move around. But for those sorts of things, for all three of those sorts of things, those outcomes, there is this natural shift then towards physicality, right? Bigger, stronger, faster. Been saying it for ages. It's a bit boring. It wasn't. Arsenal fans think that they're getting challenged and criticised by everybody else for being the inventor of this sort of nonsense game of football. It wasn't them. If anyone was doing it before anybody else, it was probably Newcastle and Aston Villa. But everybody else has pivoted to it. And of course, one of the other options that you can do is, obviously, if you do then have those bigger, stronger, faster players, but then you're sacrificing technicality. There's very few players out there that are 6'4" that are super strong, super fast, and also can sort of dribble with the ball and do the sort of intricate passes. If you have those sorts of players, then they're going to be really, benefiting from the current trend in football. And I tell you what, just on that note, one player that we have that I think will be a massive beneficiary within the current trend, and it's unfortunate for him because he's been injured for the best part of the year where this has been, where the biggest trend in that direction has occurred, is Dejan Kulusevski. So if he can get back and he can stay fit and his knee problems are behind him, then if this trend continues into 2026, and I think it will, for the most part, then I think that Dejan Kulusevski will be someone that will benefit, because he is very physical. He's not, blessed with unbelievable speed, but he is someone that can really sort of take advantage of that, and he does have the ability to kind of. He's, for a big guy, he's got, he can keep his eye on the ball and he can keep the ball under close control. So, I think that Kulusevski coming back into this team will be a massive benefit, massive boon. I think a lot of people think that, the solve for our creativity issues is wait until James Maddison's back. Obviously, that's a long way away. But even then, I would say that, Xavi and James Maddison both sort of have the same qualities, and both traditionally would have the same sort of vulnerabilities in a system and in an ecosystem generally across the Premier League where you're going to get battered and bruised. People are throwing Florian Wirtz under the bus, saying him and Xavi Simons, similar sorts of problems, right? They're too lightweight. If you actually go and look at Florian Wirtz's contributions in Liverpool games, he's actually in the right position all the time, or many, many times this season. But he doesn't get fed the ball by other players in that team that are quite selfish, that make the wrong decision. There's a little bit of, I think, selfishness going on at Liverpool, but actually Florian Wirtz and Xavi Simons both find themselves in good positions. It's whether or not the rest of the team around them are really pulling their weight and allowing those guys to maximise their potential output when there's other options on the cards. And as I say, for Tottenham, I've been saying this for a long time, I personally think that a lot of the problems that we have with Xavi not really hitting the ground running is arguably because of the way that the team is set up, especially at home. I think we've seen enough evidence of it. Against Manchester United, it was blatantly obvious. Like, anyone that's denying the reality that there's a design of the style of football that Thomas Frank is utilising, that is limiting the permissions, restricting the permissions of the two midfielders and the double pivot to get forward and support. If you're denying that as a reality, I'm not sure what you're watching. Like, that is 100% happening. 100%. The only question is whether or not is it the perceived lack of quality in the team that is forcing Thomas Hand in that regard, or is it Thomas Hand forcing that regard that leads to a perceived lack of quality in the team in certain departments? It is the tail wagging the dog, and that's subjective. That's up to you to decide whether you rate Bentancur or whether you rate Sarr or Berghvall as much as others do. That's fine. I don't care how you land. But the notion that there isn't a design element to the fact that we're not creating through the midfield, to me, that's settled science, and it's observable, very much observable. Anyway, I was in the middle of trying to say hello to people, and I've just gone off on a 15-minute rant, haven't I? So let me get back to saying hello, and then we'll carry on with the story. I don't even know why or how I started talking about those things. Can someone remind me? Let's see whether I get. I know someone was in the chat. Someone said something, didn't they? What did they say? That's right. It was the transfer window, wasn't it, Jake? It was the transfer window. Yeah. Yeah, but like I say, so we definitely need more. But January is a very difficult window to do things in. We'll hopefully get one, or hopefully we'll get 2 players, maybe 1. Loan deals, probably more likely in certain areas, certain players. There's like added element. There's a couple of added elements. Last season was the first time we saw the extension of the Champions League format that took up game week 8 of the Champions League, ran into the 23rd or 24th, I think it was, of January. This year, I think it falls on the 27th. So it's an extra 3 days. And last season, if last season is repeated, then most teams, 90% of teams won't know their fate until the end of game week 8. So people don't want to sell until they know whether they're in, they're out, what they're doing, how they're competing, whatever. So, and if Tottenham are looking at Champions League level players, it's going to be unlikely that you're going to find them in teams that aren't playing in Europe, right? Maybe you could go to a West Ham and get a Jarrod Bowen, for example. I doubt it, highly doubt it, but or a Paqueta. Just as an example, there are players that are still in and around teams that aren't playing in Europe that you might be able to do things, but then are they, fighting for their life? A João Gomez at Wolves, for example, an Andre, a Paqueta, a Bowen, those sorts of players. But then are you going to be able to convince them to do anything with you in terms of business when they need every point? Because is 50 million quid that you're going to get from Tottenham for one of their superstars worth it when they're pretty much then, writing the sort of death warrant on their ability to stay in the Premier League? And if they go down anyway, then it's going to cost them more money than you'll ever get for Jarrod Bowen. And if they go down, then they'll have to sell that player anyway. So, for me, it's a bit of a muchness, isn't it? Let's carry on saying hello, and we'll get back to the rant in a moment. Where did I get to? Getting back in January the 1st and try for him 3 weeks. Why not? Get him back in January 1st and try for 3 weeks. Is that about Manor Solomon you're talking about, Adam? Yeah, I think that. Listen, I was never that much of a fan of Manor Solomon. I'm just saying, like, there's a opportunity or an option there, isn't there, to consider? Did you forget about Helga in Bodo? I didn't forget about her. Didn't forget about her. She never texts me. And why would she? She was an absolute stunning 20-something girl who was never going to see me again. And I'm just a bozo, fat, drunk, 41-year-old Tottenham fan. I wouldn't have texted me back, to be honest. She was absolutely stunning, though. But all 3 of those birds were absolutely knockout birds, weren't they? Come on now, Bowen and Kubo on top of what we already have. Meh, we need real killers, says Binny Guy. Yeah. Hang on, let me go back and say those people. Big up to you, Gamel Smurf. Behave, says Adam. Not sure what I'm saying there. I don't know what's going on. My things are jumping around here. Where's the point I got up to with the conspiracy, with the point about the window being a decent window? Can't find it. Anyway, it says, clean your boots, Butler, you up. Clean your boots, Butler, you up. Not sure what that means. Afternoon, Sully. I'd take my mum over Brennan Johnson. Oh, clean your boots, Butler, you up. I was in, like, get you ready to play. Mate, listen, I am not a footballer. I was an okay rugby player. Football, nah. Definitely not. I was going to invite a few content creators down to go to Top Golf and do, like, they've got foot golf on the golf course where I walk Bugsy, and I was gonna reach out to them and say, look, if I bring a few content creators down, can we record and get, like, a foot golf session, some golfing sessions, some mini golf, the putting thing. And I was like, I can probably not embarrass myself with the golf club. I used to be a decent golfer. The pitch or the putting green thing will be fun, right? Who knows with that? But then I was like, foot golf. Why would I record myself playing foot golf? Sometimes people leave the balls. They've got, like, hundreds of balls in the shop, in the place. And people come out and play, kids with their fathers or mates, boys, whatever, stag do stuff. They come out and play. And sometimes there's balls just left on the golf course. And so I've kicked them a few times. Felt like my quad muscle was gonna rip off. I don't know if those balls are heavier or I'm just a bit of a like a lightweight when it comes to kicking a ball because I'm not used to it. But yeah, not my forte. Definitely not. So yeah, I'm not lacing up anything. Butler, you king. Saudi Aramco got the naming rights to the stadium yet? Big up to you, trucking. No, they haven't. But we have got an update on a sponsorship deal for the shirts with AIA moving to which I'll come to in a minute. I'm still doing this intro, aren't I? Big up, Brad. Good to see you. Tottenham need Noosa, says Warchill. Yeah, look, I love Antonio Noosa, but again, it's one of those things, right? I don't think you want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't think you want to have like 25 players that are all tanks. You know, if you had all Joe Lintons on your team, then when the pivot moves back to technicality, you're screwed, aren't you? And it will go back. It will shift backwards, right? Right now, it's just one of those moments in time where you have, like I say, man-to-man press, which is common, and people are trying to figure out ways to outdo it. Set pieces being one of the things, but these things don't last. Like I said before, I think I said it on a different channel. It's like flares, it's or double denim. It's a fashion thing at the time that won't be around forever. But what you don't want to do is fill your wardrobe with entire denim when it's hot to wear denim, because a few months later, you got to find yourself some hot pants. Of all the options of clothes, I don't know why I said hot pants then. Can you imagine me in hot pants? Gee whiz. You can get a top player for £50 million 4 times. Yeah. Yeah. But not in January. Not in January. Let's see where we're going before we get into some of the transfers. But there's 315 people here, guys. Big up to you all. Please do smash the like button for me. I don't know what the likes are on, but I'm sure they could be higher. Could we get to like, I don't know, 150 likes pretty soon? That would be cool. If one in two you did it. Plenty more Helgas in the sea, Foxy. Yeah, there are, mate. There are. Yeah. I'm thinking about going on holiday somewhere. Lose a bit of weight. If I can drop like 4 or 5 stone by... well, actually, Sava and I were talking about it. I brought this idea to Sava a couple of months ago at the end of the summer. I said, how do you feel this time next year, so like September 2026, doing a cycle across America thing? Do it for charity, whatever. And then we stop off along the way at all the different Tottenham supporter clubs or whatever across America. I sort of said it to him just thinking he'd be like, what are you doing? No, of course not. But he went, did you know I was a fantastic cyclist and I cycled across England visiting all the different stadiums and stuff? And I was like, oh shit, so you're actually pretty handy. He's like, I'm up for it. So now I feel like I'm a little bit I've got one foot in the in the rabbit hole on that one a little bit. I'm going to get caught out. So I may have to walk it back a little bit. Yeah, some knockout birds are fantastic, aren't they? Everyone gets brightened up. Sean, I can't get the like button to register. Really? I don't know. Keep trying. Don't know. Plenty Spurs fans in the USA can tab. There's loads, mate. There's loads. There's like 75 or 80 different supporters clubs, isn't there? Madness. Come to Chicago. I love Chicago. I've been there. I was in a hotel in Chicago, a really nice hotel, the Novo Hotel, and someone broke into my room with a cloned key card, and they stole my bag that had my laptop in it, my passport in it, a phone, and a bunch of other bits. And for some really stupid reason, they found out that they were so apologetic. They were like, yeah, we'll let you eat for free, drink for free, the hotel stays for free. They were panicking that they were going to get sued. And I probably could have sued them for a shitload of money, but it never even really like clicked in my mind. And then basically they found the woman who did it. And the woman who did it had like set up some like relationship with the head of security at the hotel. And he basically gave her a card and she went into all these rooms. She went into my room whilst I was asleep and stole stole the bag, and then they found her, but they didn't get my passport back, but they got my laptop back and stuff. And I was like, and they said, "Oh, do you want us to press charges? But just so you know, she's on her third strike." And I was like, "What does that mean?" And I think that basically means that in Illinois, that if she'd done 2 things that were really bad before, then she'd be going back to prison. And I think 3 strikes and you're out rule. I don't know how that works, but I think that might have meant that she'd be like locked up for a long, long time or something. And I said, "Oh, I don't really care about that. Can you just give me back my my laptop and then pay for me to fly home because I have to get a new passport with a new visa in it, and I can't do it from here." And they were like, "Yeah, okay, no problem. Can we get you to sign this thing?" And I signed it. And only about a year later, I went, "Oh, what the fuck am I doing? This is America. It's litigation city. I probably could have sued them for like, I don't know. Wouldn't be doing this. Maybe I'd be, sitting on a beach somewhere. I don't know how it works, but yeah. Anyway, what am I doing here? I'm supposed to be talking about football with you lot. Instead, I'm just having a chinwag. I wasn't KO'd drunk. I was with my brother, and so we'd probably had a few. I'll leave it there. Let's have a look at some of these stories, shall we, guys? Smash the like, smash the subscribe, and all that stuff. Right, here's the first story for us. So this is a story about Football 365. This is about Manor Solomon, right? So last season with Leeds, he scored 10 goals and assisted 12 in the Championship. Solomon was touching the ball 40 times per game, making 1.7 key passes. Things are very different at Villarreal, where he makes half a key pass per game and has half a shot. Pillowfoot, given his lack of the ball. His situation is very different to what he's become used to, and according to the report in Israel, so it's an Israel report, Solomon is disappointed and struggling to adapt to life in Spain. Amid his unhappiness, it's been reported he asked Tottenham to terminate his loan in the winter. That could play into his hands, with another club on hand to take him on board. Indeed, it's reported West Ham have inquired about signing the winger in January. Only 5 sides in the Premier League have scored less goals than the Hammers. With Solomon surplus to requirements at Tottenham and West Ham in need of an attacking spark, it could be the perfect transfer, and one that, should the current loan deal be terminated, Spurs would surely have no problems with. Do you know what? It's actually quite an interesting one, because if Tottenham, do want to potentially move towards one of their players in the summer, right? Not now, in the summer, then good relationships might not be a bad thing to kind of harvest, right? And Manor Solomon maybe could get them out of trouble. There's a double-edged sword to that. If he does come back and has a fantastic game, a fantastic second half of the season, and does something akin to what he did at Leeds, then if he does create enough that West Ham stay out of trouble, then that probably means that you're not going to get Jarrod Bowen or Paquetá or whoever else you might be looking at. If they go down, it might be easier, but at the same time, are Liverpool going to be getting Jarrod Bowen anyway? Possibly. Do I rate Somerville, Niall Higgins? He's a good player. He's a nice player. He's clever. He's nice on the eye. But again, he's a victim, I think, of this sort of physicality over technicality equation. There's so many players that at the moment would walk into the Premier League and would really struggle because they're going to get bodied by a lot of bulkier players. You have to be supremely technically excellent to figure out a way around it. But like I say, doesn't mean that you should be always thinking about the present. You have to have one eye on the fact that these trends don't last long. They don't last long. It might be a two-year cycle before the next iteration. Maybe a 4-4-2 comes back around. Maybe everybody will eventually go. The trickier teams will sit there and go, you know what? Let's just get a big lump like an Erling Haaland. Like Manchester City have been going long a lot. Manchester United have gone long a lot. Arne Slot complaining about teams going long. Why are you going long? Well, maybe because people want to try and avoid the midfield battle, right? There's just all of these things, considerations going on. And if you did have like a lump, like an Igor Thiago, if you had an Erling Haaland that didn't need to always put the ball in the back of the net, but could also be someone to flick the ball on, someone at Tottenham who was good in the air. I mean, Richalison could be that guy, but he really isn't a target guy, right? He's not great at doing flick-ons. On paper, you should be able to sit there and think that you could have Richarlison playing next to Johnson in a 4-4-2, and if you get into trouble, slam the ball up in the air. Richalison, jump, time it, and nick the ball on, and then Brennan Johnson run through behind a high line. Right? It sounds good on paper, but Richarlison's ability to time the jump is just horrendous, and he doesn't win enough of those aerial duels. So, but you could see those sorts of iterations happening in football to overcome for the teams that don't have the physical supremacy over others. They'll figure out different things and different ways around. So, with players like Somerville, I think he's going to struggle. I think he would struggle in the Premier League. I think that someone like Manor Solomon would probably struggle in the Premier League right now as well. But there's options, right? And you have to be thinking about not just this season, but what's happening in the next 27, 28 as well. But anyway, yeah. So the story about Manor Solomon is an interesting one, and maybe look, maybe it's not a bad thing to have decent relationships, and maybe one of the benefits of, I think definitely one of the benefits of having Daniel Levy no longer at the football club is that some of the doors that have been fairly difficult to open, Fort Knox level stuff, for quite a long time, is maybe because of Daniel Levy's negotiation style, and he's just burnt too many bridges. Maybe Vinay, Paratici, etc. Maybe there can be that new look Tottenham. Maybe part of the rebrand, part of that kind of obnoxious rebranding that was pissing me off when the Levy kids were coming in and were pretending like it's a new dawn, it's a new era, but nothing's really changed. Maybe part of the benefit, part of the purpose of that isn't just to try to pull the smoke over or pull the wool over the eyes and blow smoke up the arse of Tottenham fans who they think are donuts, who can't see that, the king is dead, long live the king. Maybe part of it is a representation of trying to say to other football clubs, look, we're not the same Tottenham Hotspur that pissed you off 2 years ago. Give us let's try and be convivial and amenable to decent outcomes that suit both parties. And I think that might be something that we'll see. We will see very soon, won't we? Am I still missing Levy? Listen, I never cared about Daniel Levy. It was all just like theatre, It's all theatre. But I do think he got thrown under the bus a lot by people. Big up to you, Billy. What about Karim Adeyemi? Yeah, he's a really good player, isn't he? Fantastic player on the left winger. I like him. I do. But he's a pace merchant as well. So like you need, he's very, very talented, but his number one asset is his pace. And so, you need to really, I'm not a scout, obviously, right? I'm certainly not a coach. So I look at the player and see what I see. And I think, yeah, great. But he's been Dortmund? He's been at Dortmund for a long time, right? So a relatively long time for a young guy. I'm surprised that other teams in the Premier League haven't come knocking for him sooner. And is it because people look at him and sort of see like a bit of a Timo Werner type, right? Just super pacey, but ultimately doesn't have the rest of the makeup in his skill set. And I don't know. So, but listen, on paper, I'm a big fan of Karim Adeyemi, yeah. Levy or Helga? That particular Helga? I would have married her. Right. I've got no idea who she is. I've got no idea if she's a nice person or a horrible person, but I would have married her right then and there. I would have put a gummy ring from a Haribo packet in my pocket on her finger had she given me the chance. Did I watch Troops' 24-hour stream? No. I know he's very popular, but that's sort of, he's not really. I mean, he's all about just Arsenal all the time. He's a very popular guy, isn't he? Very, very good at what he does, but it would never pop up in my stream. And I probably wouldn't have watched it anyway. I did hear that I saw on Never a Foul though that he had like Aubameyang on or something, didn't he? Which is pretty cool. Very cool. Shaw would have lost half his wealth within a year. But what a year. It would have been, Ghosted. What a year, eh? Win the Europa Cup, Europa League, and snag yourself a worldie. Let's move to the next story, shall we? And have a look-see. What are we doing here? Tottenham, this is a sponsorship deal. Then we get into the transfer news for you. Exclusive from James Murray at Football Insider. Tottenham could earn up to 75 million from their new sponsorship agreement with the AIA Group. Sources have told Football Insider. Tottenham's existing agreement with AIA is worth £40 million a year. Essentially, what we're doing is we're dropping them off the shirt sponsor for the 26-27 season onwards, and so we've got one more year with them. 25. So we got this year and then next season. But after that, they're moving to the training kit where they're going to pay us £15 million a year. So we're technically down £25 million a year relative, but we have a spot on our shirt sponsor, and I think £15 million a year. I think we're currently getting paid £10 million a year from Get Here, which for the training stuff. So if we get an extra £5 million a year from AIA, that would be very good. But we are looking for a £60 million shirt sponsorship deal, which is interesting, right? So Tottenham currently have a £40 million a year deal with AIA. Or like I say, we're going to get that down to 10 to 15 or whatever, and then we're going to try and find another one. The problem is that the market isn't quite as hot. Like the economy's a bit. I'm sure you guys are all feeling it. There's a hell of a lot of for sale signs up wherever you live. People are struggling. Inflation's through the roof. Your real-time earnings, your real-time livable wage is down. If you're a content creator, you can see by the average money that you're making on a video that's just from advertising is way down. That's because advertisers aren't spending as much money, or there's not as much demand for the advertising space. It's just that all these things are leading indicators to what will be given an official term in the next probably in Q1 of next year or something, or Q2 of next year, that we'll be in a kind of recession. How long that lasts? Personally, I think it will last quite a long time, because I think that the stock market is painting over a really bad problem. I think there's 7 companies that are all AI related that are dragging everything up, or dragging the overall market up. But really, if you took them out, everything else is declining and flatlining. And unfortunately, those AI companies are replacing hundreds and hundreds of thousands of jobs. So there's problems in the economy now. There's going to get worse. It's a real struggle. And so consequently, you can even see it at Tottenham Stadium, right? We can't even sell out the games anymore. I don't think it's just the pricing. I think it's the football as well. But the pricing is sort of is still based on some assumption that people have got 90 quid in their pocket to go and watch a game of football, and I don't think a lot of people do. So as a consequence of all that stuff, those things are wrapped up into shirt sponsorship packages. Chelsea want to get 60 million quid a year for their deal, and they won't. They basically haven't signed a deal with anybody. They've left their shirt unsponsored because they think that valuation is a certain level, and it might be. But it all depends on the timing of the deal. And if Tottenham's shirt deal expires during an economic downturn, there won't be the demand, and they won't be therefore the numbers that they want. But for what it's worth, we are trying to get a £60 million shirt sponsor, and so an extra £5 million on from the AIA to the training kit versus Get Here. That will essentially mean that we're trying to get an extra £25 million a year. If it all goes through well from the shirt sponsorship deals, plus we're trying to get the stadium naming rights deals, which previously we were trying to get 25 million quid a year. I think that if they're trying to do a double deal with a company that will get the shirt sponsor and the stadium sponsor, then maybe they'll try and get something like, I think 65, 70 million quid. There were rumours, I did a video about this before, where the same companies, TBR and Football Insider and that, were saying Tottenham are hoping to get a £50 million per year, 10-year deal, 500 million quid. And that was going to be for a shirt sponsor and also the stadium naming rights. And when you put it together and you go, how is it 50 million quid if we were already getting 40 million quid from the current AIA, and then we're trying to get around 25 million quid a year if we can, from the stadium naming rights? That in and of itself would be 65 million quid a year. So why are we willing to take so much less? As I say, I think it's because you want to tie people up, you want to have nice relationships, but at the same time, you have to kind of eat humble pie a little bit in the negotiations when you realize that the economy is on its knees a little bit. And you can read a bunch of news reports that will tell you that it isn't, but I promise you it is. And the stock market might tell you that it isn't. For the average person and for most companies, they're really struggling. But hopefully there'll be a reduction in interest rates as a consequence, which, if you are watching this and you have a mortgage and you've got a renewal coming up, that might be good news for you. Get you a few extra quid in your pocket. Let's move on to the next story, guys, which is about Luka Vuskovic, I think. Where is it? Here we go. Yeah, so basically he's just doing really well. I won't bore you with all the details, but he said he's really happy with everything at HSV Hamburg. My grades are good, even above expectations. Grades like he's at school. Tottenham, I hear from them. They follow me. They are a good club when it comes to developing young players. I don't know when I will be back. Spurs currently have no plans to recall Vuskovic from his current loan, as he is playing regular football in one of Europe's top 5 domestic leagues. And additionally, he's performing well. The talented teenager is expected to remain with HSV until the end of the season, where his future will be assessed by the Tottenham hierarchy. Listen, this is coming from Football London. I'm not sure. Is it Ali Gold? Or is it one of his younger guys? It's one of his younger guys, Ryan Taylor. The article kind of reads a little bit, even just like where's it gone? Even just the way, like this bit, the quotes, it doesn't really feel like Vuskovic has got he's not got a relationship with Tottenham right now. And you can understand why. I think he played one half of football, right, against Reading in the pre-season, and he scored, was it in 8 minutes? He scored a goal, got an assist, and got a goal line clearance. Unbelievable stuff. I think he's going to be a worldie at Tottenham, but I do think we have to be a little bit careful here that, other teams are going to be looking at this guy and going, he might be the real deal. And so you kind of want to also nurture the relationship a little bit. Don't let him forget that he's a Tottenham player and that we have high and big expectations and plans for you. We hope we do, because sometimes, he might turn around and say, you know what, I'm really happy at Hamburg. I want to stay and I want to play here. So I don't know how you fix that. I don't know how you square that circle, but there's a little bit of a concern in just the fact that his kind of, was it Tottenham? Oh yeah, I hear from them. Yeah, they're a great club. Yeah, I'm very happy here. Okay, don't be too happy, bro, because it's only temporary. You're coming back to England. What's Foxy saying here? I have to be honest, apart from the Bayern game, Luka Vuskovic has looked really good consistently for Hamburg. Yeah, man. Yeah, looks really good, doesn't he? And again, if we're talking about this trend, this shift towards physicality, set pieces, looking for those kind of incremental gains, those little improvement points, those metrics where you can dial up the percentage points of opportunity and take advantage of the advantages, take advantage of the chances. Someone like Vuskovic is going to be really good. Foxy, I talk about one of the boys. He's a Newcastle fan, Foxy. I talk about your man, Dan Burn. I remember when Eddie Howe, was it for the semi-final of the Carabao Cup? One of the cup games. I forget which one it was. And he set up Dan Burn. It was a very well-worked piece where Dan Burn was he's such a monster of a guy, but he was from corner kicks, he would make a run from outside the box. And he's a massive threat, but you can't put, if you're doing a man-to-man marking on from a corner kick defensively, you can't put one of your best defenders marking a guy that's outside the box, right? So he's get a free run. Obviously, he then gets the momentum, and if the corner kick taker can put the ball onto the right area 8 times out of 10, where he knows it's going to be, he's already got 4 or 5 inches on most other players. He's got a good leap, and he can get the extra sort of percentage points from the momentum of the start of the initial run into the box. And it can work really well. And I'm pretty sure that Dan Burn scored a fantastic goal. And then I'm pretty sure the weekend after that, they tried it with England. And I think he rattled the bar. I'm not sure if I'm remembering that correctly. But the first time I saw Vuskovic in a Tottenham shirt, I was at that Reading game in pre-season. And my immediate thought was, we've got an absolute tool here, in a nice way. We can really use this guy and do it in a certain way, like Newcastle, like Eddie Howe started to set them up. I don't know if Eddie Howe still does that, but he's a real monster of a guy. He's got a good finish on him as well. Good calm head under when opportunity strikes in the box. So yeah, Vuskovic. Anyway, Vuskovic is he's happy where he is, and he's saying that he doesn't know what's happening, but and that Tottenham don't know what's happening either. Well, let's not forget about this guy, because I think Tottenham fans are expecting him to come back and be a massive part of our season next year. But according to Football London, it feels like we're not sure what we're going to do with him. And he doesn't even seem like he sort of, barely remembers that he's part of our team. He's like a guy who's he's in a loveless marriage to a wife, but they sleep in other rooms, and when he's at work, he's happy to flirt away. Tottenham star, next story. Tottenham star Kulusevski has been stepping up his recovery from a long-term knee injury, as we know. Apparently, here we go. He's been spotted in training. Here we go. He's been spotted in training. I think he's gone out to Dubai to warm weather training. I don't know. I think it was just him and Destiny Udogie. And that looks like, is that in Dubai? That to me looks like that's still at Tottenham Hotspur Way. But anyway, apparently Destiny Udogie put the pictures on his Instagram, and so won't be back for a while. Apparently, there's a good chance, quote unquote, good chance that Kulusevski will be back before the end of the year. Yeah, I've stopped listening to Thomas Frank on his injury return predictions because he's got them all wrong entirely. This is a bit of a bad, sad state of affairs, though. Is this the story I want to talk to you about? What's this one? Oh, is this the one? Oh, no, I've just done this one. Sorry, I've done that one already. This is the one I wanted to talk to you about. Premier League star asked to leave in January. So Semenyo apparently is asked to leave Bournemouth, guys. Is it on the screen? Yeah. This is a bit of a kick in the teeth, but I've said to you guys for ages, don't get your hopes up about Semenyo. It's never going to happen. Liverpool target Antoine Semenyo has reportedly asked to leave Bournemouth in the January transfer window after the Reds made an approach. The Reds are having a poor season by their standards, with Arne Slot defending champions losing 5 of their first 11 games in the Premier League. Scoring hasn't been a problem, although Salah and some of his fellow forwards have not been up to scratch so far. Transfer expert Fabrizio Romano insisted last week that it was very unlikely that Bournemouth would allow Semenyo to leave in the middle of the season. I don't think it's going to be a mid-season departure. I don't think it's going to be Liverpool. Or I don't think it's going to be with Liverpool. I think Liverpool is going to be very quiet in the January window. In the summer, it can be different. I still want to respect Bournemouth. Let them enjoy the player. It is still November, and they are not planning for him to leave in January. There's a lot of interest in the player, and there is a release clause, so it's a super interesting situation. But I think it's for the summer window. For January, it's very unlikely. But now a reliable X account made up of 5. Is this the geezer? This is the guy. That guy works for KFC, isn't it? Exclusive. Antoine Semenyo has asked to leave Bournemouth in January. Former England and Newcastle United winger Chris Waddle thinks Semenyo is currently the best winger in the Premier League. Waddle said Antoine Semenyo, the winger at Bournemouth, is definitely the best. I think that's the that chicken guy. What's his name? I forget the guy's name, but I didn't realise that was it. Was that the story? But anyway, yeah. Apparently he's he wants out. He wants to go. Apparently, if there's been an inquiry, he says I'd like to leave. If it's just that, what's that guy's name? Kalia News, Kalia things. I never know. Some people think this guy's like mustard. He's got half a million followers. Other people say he works for KFC. He works in the chicken shop. So I got no idea. I got absolutely no idea. What's he saying? Issue is Sean. We have Romero and Van der Ven, who will be first choice when we had Toby, and who will be first choice when we had Toby and Jan. Yeah, but I think we can go to a back 3, mate. I think in a back 3, you could have Micky van der Ven that could gallop forward with the ball and knowing that he's got cover. You can have Romero that can step up into a DM role and thread the passes that we currently can't do with Polina or Bentancur or Pape Sarr, all of whom are essentially playing double pivot DMs, which is just weird and unnecessary at home for me. I know other people think it's all we can do. I disagree. But I think if you were to play a back 3, you could then, you have a Vuskovic on the pitch as well. I don't know what his passing range is like, but certainly he's got the aerial threat that could suit a back 3. Micky van der Ven obviously can dribble, run, and is fast enough. And obviously Romero can do his thing. And then you've also got Danso, Radu Dragusin, and Kota Takai as well behind it. So you need 6 centre-backs if you want to be able to pivot to a back 3, which I think we do. I think we should. I think there's massive value in it. Imagine Udogie and Pedro Porro having less to worry about defensively, and they can just get forward and do what they do great. With the ball in, drive at players. Like, there's so much obvious value in a back three. We just can't do it right now because part of our 11 injuries are centre backs. You know? Yeah. But I don't know if it's like inevitable is a good thing. I think it's part of the reason why I was like, okay, Thomas Frank is the guy. Is he cool? Part of the reason why I was okay with that is because he's supposed to be tactically adaptable, unpredictable. You know, unpredictability is the second best ability. You must have heard me say that, guys, 100 times. Doesn't feel like very unpredictable at the moment. India Kalia, that's it. Well done. Yeah, I don't know whether this guy is a complete fraud. Some people tell me he's about as reliable as Bissouma's timekeeping. How's he got 500,000? How's he got 500,000 followers then? If he's so shit, how's that work? I don't know. To be honest, I never understand how people blow up and get so viral. Let's get into the interesting stuff though, right? Let's have a look at some of these stories for you guys. So, Yves Bissouma, according to Sun Sport, Galatasaray has remained in contact with Yves Bissouma's reps regarding a free transfer for the midfielder next summer. Sources say Galatasaray remain interested and is prepared to offer a 3-year deal. Yeah, look, it'd be nice to see him. Do you think there's any chance? Do you think there's any chance at all that if Bissouma was fully fit now? Let me ask you this, guys. Smash a 1 in the chat if you think I'm talking nonsense, or a 0 if you think. No, actually, wait. I'll do that in a second. Let me ask do you think there's any chance that if Bissouma was fit right now, he would be playing for Tottenham, or do you think that that Thomas Frank doesn't rate him, doesn't like him, doesn't find him reliable, doesn't trust him, whatever? So 1, if you think if Bissouma was fit, would he be playing? 1. 0 if you think that Thomas Frank is like, nah, this guy is a donut. Big up to you, my man, Magic J. How are you, buddy? Good to see you. Johnny's on the. I think he's arrived in Tenerife. I'm not sure if we're going to have a chance to do a show tonight. It's not a huge amount to talk about in the world of football, so maybe I'll give him a day off. What sources? All the sources. 0, 0, 0. Are you all saying? You were saying. There's a couple. So Teddy and Stephen O'Connor and Free Speech Fiona. You're all saying that if he was fit, he'd have a chance. So are you, Ghosted. The rest of you are saying, "Nah, we're done. He's done out here. He's cooked. Robert's saying he'd have a chance. Hi, Sean. No Spurs 5 last night again. No Sava. Oh, no Sava on Spurs 5 last night. It was Monday night. Sava's not part of Spurs 5 anymore, Simon. He left a couple of weeks ago. He didn't fancy it. He wasn't enjoying panel show stuff. So he just said he wants to leave and do his own thing. Make a poll. It's not. Bissouma's not worth the effort to go. I've got to set up. I've got to get out of this. Go into YouTube. The Bissouma conversation isn't worth a poll, to be honest. Sean, do you think we could get Osimhen? Oh, I tell you what. That's one of those. That's a statement signing, isn't it? That's a marquee. If you rock up, if like January the 1st, you wake up and it's Osimhen to Spurs. Here we go. Out of nowhere. Everyone. There's not. I don't think there's a. I doubt there's always someone, isn't there? There's always somebody. there's always a miserable git somewhere. But Osimhen would be top player. Top player, and he can handle the physicality. He's just an absolute dream. Sort of technicality. He's got vicious curl on his shot. Competent with 2-footed. He's fast. He's good in the air. Looks like Batman. What's not to like? But do I think it's reasonable or possible? I don't think so. I think the guy's earning an obscene amount of money. because of the tax benefit to footballers. Foreign people that play football in Turkey, I'm pretty sure have like 95% tax relief or something like that. So one second. He if he's earning like 400 grand a week out there and it's all tax free, it's a similar thing to Ivan Toney. And speaking of Ivan Toney, let's take a look at the next story. This is coming from TalkSport. TalkSport has reported that it's very unlikely that Tottenham are going to sign Ivan Toney in January. A deal is unlikely. They've reported that tax issues are the reason for the 29-year-old's decision to remain in Saudi Arabia. It is claimed that due to Saudi tax rules, the striker would have to accept a significant financial loss to leave Al Ahly, having only joined in the summer of 2024. For Toney, the risk of giving up a lucrative salary appears to be too great. Yeah. Look, I mean, TalkSport have also suggested that he is a player that Tottenham, that he would want to come back to Tottenham. 3 days ago, he said TalkSport said that he'd be up for it. So I don't know if there's any real truth to it. I think that just logically, I've said this all along. I said that logically, Ivan Toney coming to Tottenham doesn't make any sense. The only way it would make sense would be on a loan deal where he can still maintain his sort of tax status or whatever over there. But then you have to kind of square the circle of why would Al Ahly be okay with him pissing off to the UK? Unless we pay his entire salary and Al Ahly are okay with that. But there's no chance that we're paying all of his salary. No chance we're paying 400 grand a week. Absolutely none. Because he isn't the difference between us, winning the Champions League. We're not going to win the Premier League. So why would you pay... that's £20 million a year. Why would you pay £10 million in salary plus a loan fee or whatever? I mean, you might see something where you'd end up paying an £8 million loan fee and then asking Al Ahly to pay 60% of the salary so that they get that. You can figure it out that way, but it's still a punchy move. It's still a real punchy move, and I don't know if Al Ahly are interested. Are Al Ahly the sort of team that are interested in losing their player and getting the financial compensation? I don't think they want to lose their player, personally. Why would you? What do they owe Tottenham? I don't see him coming to Tottenham on a permanent. I think he has to be out of the country for another year or so. So you might not even see out. You might see Ivan Toney return to Tottenham in 27 season, but not to Tottenham. To return to the Premier League. I think that's how it works. I think you have to be out of the UK for 2 years or I don't know, whatever. Let's move on to the next story for you, which is João Palhinha. So here's the thing, right? I believe that the first bit of business that Tottenham will do in January is to secure João Palhinha on a permanent. Now, some of you will say, well, what's the point of doing that? You've already got him on a loan deal. I don't believe that signing him on a permanent deal would mean that he would get paid more or less than he's currently getting paid. I'm pretty sure we'll just take on his current salary. But the benefit of taking him on is that that would free up a loan space. So, because I think that Tottenham, if they are going to be busy in this January window, I think a lot of it's going to be loan deals. Personally, I don't know if you're going to get too much. You might get one permanent deal and one loan deal, but if you get outside of the Palhinha deal, but Palhinha has been fantastic, so we absolutely need to make that permanent. If he pissed off back to Bayern Munich or whatever in the summer, then that would be you'd be back to square one again, wouldn't you? But he'll be 30, right? So 30, 31 or whatever. So you need to, at some point, you have to absolutely figure out. He might be the great guy right now, but one injury away from being up shit creek again. But also, even if he stays fit, you're only going to get 2 years out of him, 2.5, 3 years out of him. So we can't rest on our laurels with that DM role gig. But I'm not sure if it's the necessary move. I think that João Palhinha though would be fantastic. No, sorry, João Palhinha, João Gomez. I think he's realistic. I think you could get him. He can play in the 6 if necessary. He played there for 3 years. Now he plays in the 8 because Andre's come into Wolves. His passing range is fantastic. His fight, his grit, his determination. He's got that physicality. He can get the ball. He can score a goal or two. I'm a big fan of him. Someone like Adam Wharton, far less likely. I don't think Tottenham, are Crystal Palace that much weaker than Tottenham Hotspur? I think Palace do a fantastic job given their financial situation. They've got a shit stadium, but they've got a great manager. They've got a fantastic team. And if you went to Crystal Palace and said, any chance we can get Jean-Philippe Mateta, any chance we can get Adam Wharton, any chance we can get whoever, insert player there, you got to get through that bloody idiot, haven't you? The Crystal Palace owner, who's tricky to negotiate with when he's got any leverage. But he'll be 31 next season, yeah. So you get a couple of years, maybe 2.5 years out of him, but he will decline. I still want Savio. He's still being played out of position at City. I haven't been that impressed with Savio, I haven't. I think Manchester City missed. I think they were idiotic. Because I think City are a team that have a little bit too much of the technicality, not enough of the physicality, especially when they lose Rodri. They've got Nico Gonzalez that's doing a few bits in there now, but they have that balance, right? But the game has moved in this direction, and they're not quite there. And like Savio, they could have got 70. We would have paid if they said, okay, 70 million, we'll take it. We would have probably paid it. We probably would have paid it. Munoz is very good, yeah. You're Locatelli, Sully. Yeah, what a player he is. Sean, are there any under-the-radar loan signings you can see happening in January? Don't think many of us foresaw the Decky Benny deals before Paratici delivered them out of the blue. I think Atalanta. I think there's a lot of problems at Atalanta. Not just for Ademola Lookman, but I think there's a lot of problems, right? They've just lost their manager, Juric. Obviously, you've got the Lookman issues. They're going through a predicament. They are financially strapped. They didn't want to sell. They didn't want to loan Lookman. They wanted to sell him. They want him out of the club. But I think that there's a lot of problems under the surface at Atalanta. I think there's issues with the ownership as well. And so, maybe there's a couple of players at Atalanta that you could look at, like the Catalier. I mean, what a player he is. You could get someone. Let me get their squad up here. Let's have a look. See. Transfer market is always so slow to load. Never know why. I'll come back to it. But yeah, Atalanta for sure. I think there's opportunities. Ederson, don't forget Ederson at Atalanta as well. He hasn't found a new home. Would he move on? Do you still want him? Is he yesterday's news? He hasn't really kicked on, has he? But yeah, Ederson Lookman double deal. Wouldn't that be awesome? Yeah, you got so Ederson's 26. His contract runs for another 18 months. Charles de Catalier. They got Scalvini, the centre back that Tottenham were looking at a while ago. He's a right-footed centre back, but he can play in the DM as well. Maybe Tottenham could go back to see if they can get him. Yeah, it's a lot of interesting players at Atalanta. So maybe you could get a loan deal out of Atalanta. Whoever asked that question. Who was it? Who asked? Was it Oyster? I think it was Oyster. Guys, keep smashing the like button. There's over 400 here. Appreciate you all. Let's move on. I'm gonna sort of rattle through some of these other ones a little bit quicker. So Jonathan David, apparently according to Tutto Sport, Tutto Mercato Web, all the Italian press are saying Tottenham are in constant contact to sign Jonathan David. Apparently been making loads of inquiries in the recent weeks. He's no longer viewed as the primary striker at Juve, and a situation that could result in his departure. I personally believe that he was just signed on the flip. I think that they saw him as an opportunity to take him out of the free transfer market, bring him in, give him a go. If he shines, he shines. Obviously, Juve have changed their manager as well since, and he hasn't seemingly getting any minutes. He hasn't scored very many goals, but if you actually go and look at the minutes he's playing, it's like 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Same with the Rodrigo story. Rodrigo's officially played 13 games this season. And I think he's got 1 assist and 1 goal, or no goals, 2 assists, something like that. But if you actually go and look at the minutes he's getting, it's 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. on a per minutes basis, on a per 90 basis. Sorry, they're not struggling, but they're just not getting the minutes. So maybe they are struggling on the training ground. I would love to see Rodrigo. That's the next one. Let's talk a little bit about Rodrigo as well. Chelsea and Tottenham have been strongly associated with the Brazil international, though the interest from Spurs continues to be minimised. This is coming out of ESPN Brazil, who's saying that Chelsea very much want him, but Tottenham are interested, but they're minimising the noise around it. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? With Paratici, there's a lot of plate spinning, right? But Paratici operates in the Italian market more so than anywhere else. Does that lead us to think that maybe we'll be looking at someone like Rafael Leao, who I'll come to in a second? But in terms of Rodrigo, so if you're Rodrigo and you're going to go to Chelsea, why would you go to Chelsea right now? Like, they've got Neto, they have Jamie Gittins, they have Garnacho, they have Cole Palmer, they have returning players like Liam Delap in the mix as well. They've got so many wingers, it's ridiculous. Jamie Gittins signed for £55 million. Barely plays for them. Madness. So Rodrigo's going to go there. I mean, if Rodrigo went there, he would be in he'd be in the first 11. But what's that going to mean for Gittins? What's that going to mean for Garnacho? And do you want an unhappy Garnacho who's going to be kicking, screaming, and throwing his toys out of the pram? What does that do for the morale of the team? They've got Esteval as well, right? Correct, James. Yeah, correct. Forgot about him. They've got so many good players at the top end of the pitch. I don't think that. It doesn't make sense. Like, to me, Rodrigo needs minutes. He needs to be going somewhere where he's going to play every single minute of every single game that he possibly can, and doing it in the Champions League and doing it in the Premier League. Right? Is that Chelsea? No, it's not. Is that Arsenal? Look, he might be better than what Arsenal have, but they're still going to rotate. And he's not going to get as many minutes. If Liverpool are going to get Semenyo in January now, if that story's true, if Semenyo does go to Liverpool, cool. I didn't expect Semenyo anyway. I'd love to have Semenyo, but I don't expect it to happen. Never did. Then what? Then Arsenal on Chelsea. So I don't even know why Chelsea need another winger. I've got no idea, but they linked with everybody all the time. If I'm Chelsea, I'm looking for a centre-back. I need a centre-back, personally, before anything else. But I think that I genuinely think that you could make the argument to Rodrigo, come to Tottenham for 6 months. You haven't got to stay. You haven't got to like it. You haven't got to consider it your new home. But you're going to play. You're going to play a lot. You're going to play all the time. There's literally a 21-year-old kid who most of the fan base still don't rate in Odebear that's in your spot. You get the minutes, and you got him in the Champions League and the Premier League. You get into the World Cup squad. You give us 10 goals and 5 assists in the second half of the season. You're in the World Cup squad. Thank you very much. Then we can figure out if you stay or go, if you want to, or piss off home, whatever later. Like, to me, it makes the most sense. It really does. I know that people go, why would you go to Tottenham? It's just a loan. It's just a loan, but you're still going to play on the biggest stage, and there's absolutely zero competition of any real note for your minutes. Doesn't seem like it's crazy to me. Who would you kick out of the Champions League squad to make room for Rodrigo, Sean? Richalison. It depends, doesn't it? Depends. That is a good point, though. That is a good point, Lazy Eight. Big up to you, mate. I'm seeing you for a while. How are you, Nicky boy? Good to see you. So the Jonathan David one. Okay, we've done the Jonathan David one. As far as Jonathan David goes, I do rate him. I think he's improved his game very much over the last 12 months, 18 months. But he's probably like a Kolo Muani level, right? And a lot of people don't. Some of you rate Kolo. A lot of people don't, right? I don't know what you're judging him on. He's had 3 games in in 5 months or whatever for Tottenham, isn't he? It's been incredibly unfortunate. But Kolo Muani at his best would be a really good player. Jonathan David in the Premier League, I actually think that he would suit the Premier League, believe it or not. I really do. I think he's fast. He is quite physical. He's got a good left foot on him now. He's 2-footed. He's got a good air. He's got a good sense of positional play. And I think he would be someone that could really help us out in the second half of the season. Plus, he's bags of experience in the Champions League. Good point now about the Champions League squad. We are already oversaturated, aren't we? You know, does that push you in the direction of trying to get someone in that's homegrown? You know, is that why we're looking at a Scott McTominay? Is that why we're looking at a Kobbie Mainoo? Is that why we're, looking at players like Anthony Robinson and Rico Henry? Yeah, homegrown players. Well, I love Rico Henry, by the way. Love Rico Henry. If he can stay fully fit for a year, if he can stay fully fit and he gets back to his levels, Rico Henry is a baller. Really like him. Really, really like him. And this one here as well, Morgan Rogers. Morgan Rogers, right? So what's the story here? Morgan Rogers, who has attracted interest from Tottenham, has extended his contract with Aston Villa, signing a new deal that runs until 2031. After signing his new deal, Rogers stated that the confidence shown in him by the club's management was a positive feeling and that he had been eager to sign. He said he is very happy and that the most important thing for him is to enjoy playing his football. Rogers added that he saw no reason why he would not want to remain there. When did that happen? Didn't that happen a while ago? Pretty sure that happened a while ago, didn't it? I know, it was a couple of days ago. Yeah. Okay, well, we can put that one to bed then. We can put that one to bed. So Morgan Rogers isn't coming. I didn't expect him to anyway. But if I'm entirely honest, I think Morgan Rogers. Look at Morgan. Hang on. Have I showed you this? I think I might have shown you this already. Oh, that's not it. Hang on a second, guys. I'll bring it up now. People, I think I did bring this up before, didn't I? Because people in the chat were saying to me, "Oh my God, Butler doesn't rate Morgan Rogers." Not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that these things are worth noting, right? This is the game this season. So in the red, you've got Morgan Rogers this season. In the blue, you've got Morgan Rogers last season. Now, don't worry necessarily about the specific stats, but to take the point, right, that he's half as good at the things that he was relative to other midfielders as the things he was good at last season, and he's just as bad as the things he was bad at last season. In terms of forward passes, progressive passes, half as good. Key passes, not as good. This is on a percentage basis. Carrying the ball, he was in the 95th percentile last season. This season, 46th percentile. And this is not a solo entity. There's loads of people that this is happening to. Look at Bentancur, right? People tell me, let me get rid of these two. People tell me that Bentancur is still a baller. People tell me that Bentancur is not responsible for any of the problems, and it's that the midfield's just terrible. Look at Bentancur. Similar style of what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Similar style of hectagon, or what you're going to call it, but half as good at everything. Half as good as everything he was good at last year. It's basically this. It looks exactly the same in terms of like natural shape, but just half as good. Why? There's loads of examples of these, by the way. There are loads and loads and loads of examples of players that have the similar shape to all of these to these various departments, but just a smaller grid. Why? Because the game is changing. The game is moving. The game is more about like it's the overall trend in football that suffocates some. You'll see others that are benefits of it. You know? So don't always judge the stats. Don't always judge the player by the stats. Sometimes you have to put the context, well, in fact, every time you have to put the context of the stats into the way the team are playing, who they've played, how the player is adapting to maybe a new manager, and then also zoom out a little bit more and think, are other teams playing a different way? And if so, how does that shape and shape the dynamics, reset the dynamics of of the game, and therefore the player stats accordingly. Other story for you guys: Rafael Leao. I mean, I can't believe I'm still talking about this, but makes absolutely no sense, right? But apparently, Tottenham Hotspur are currently seeking different forward targets after having been previously linked with an interest in Rafael Leao. He is not going to come to Tottenham. He doesn't want to leave Milan. Can we move on from Rafael Leao? I'm just bringing it to your attention because it's still out in the team talk zeitgeist. And that guy Dean Jones, who talked about this shit every day. Alex Scott, Manchester United could compete with Tottenham for Alex Scott. That's, you know what I was saying earlier is, are we going to get Scott McTominay? Is it because of the homegrown thing? Are we going to get those? This is the guy I meant, Alex Scott. Are we linked with Alex Scott primarily because, not primarily, but in no small part because he is a homegrown player? Tottenham fan as well. Manchester United could compete with Tottenham for Alex Scott. Graham Bailey told United in Focus that Scott has been added to United's shortlist. According to a report, Ineos scouts have been impressed. Ineos scouts? What does Ineos scouts mean? Have been impressed by Scott's performances. And the club has monitored him since his time at Bristol City. The report also states that United want to sign a midfielder in 2026 and that Ruben Amorim has approved a potential move for the player. Meanwhile, Spurs are reportedly very interested in Scott, having previously failed to sign him before he joined Bournemouth. It is considered likely that Bournemouth will demand a £60 to £65 million fee to approve a sale. What are we saying, guys? What are we saying about Alex Scott? 65 million. Let me get his stats up for us. Alex Scott, FB refs. FB ref. What? Why? No. Alex Scott, Bournemouth. FB ref. Literally no results. That's so weird. Oh, I know why. Being a donut. Being a complete donut. Here we go. Let's have a look-see. Alex Scott, FB refs. What are we saying, guys? Let me know. Before I bring him up. He is average, but Spurs fans have a wank over him because he is a fans. Yeah, exactly. It's weird, isn't it? MJB, in your scouts. That's like calling our scouts Enoch scouts. 100%. 65 million, stay away, says Michael. Big up to you, Mike. Hope you're okay, man. We should look at Stiller. Yeah, he's still a good player. You know what I mean? If you know what I mean? He set a very high bar last season, did Rodgers. Yeah. Yeah, he did. He's a very good player. What's all this nonsense football talk, Sean? Get back to Rabbit Hole Rumbling. Keep up the good work. There's 404 people here, guys. If you haven't heard, there is a Rabbit Hole Ramblings YouTube channel that I've started that is all about conspiracy. If any of you haven't already subscribed, the link is pinned. And just before I round off, I'll show you the intro video. I quite spent a little bit of time fucking around with it this morning. I was quite enjoyed myself playing with the old video editing software. Sean, do you think we might sign a long ball specialist in January like Chris Richards or Nordi Mukiele? Jeez. No, I've got no idea, James. I haven't thought about it, mate. I don't think so. No, Chris Richards. Which Chris Richards are we talking about here? Palace. We're not signing Chris Richards from Palace. No chance. But yeah, no more kids. Yeah, I have to go. I have to think about that one, mate. I don't think so. I wouldn't have. Mars is a chocolate bar. Do you see that one? I pissed myself laughing when he said that. 40 years ago, Mars was just a chocolate bar. I wet myself. Shout out to Nikos. He's great fun. He's the He's properly into the old the conspiracy things, isn't he? I didn't see this. Big up to Houdini with the super sticker. Big up, Dino. Big up, my man. Super sticker. Cheers to you, Dino. Thank you very much, buddy. I hope you're okay, man. Thank you as always for your support, buddy. Your old super chat bill must be extortionate at the end of the month. The wife. What's the wife doing? She's like, "Can we please go out to a nice restaurant?" Sorry, love. Pizza Express. That's all we could do. Why? Supported Sean and the Tottenham boys a little bit too much. Every stream. It must add up, Dino. It must add up, man. You don't have to do it, buddy. Yeah, I really appreciate the fact that you do. But yeah, it's not. Listen, none of you guys ever have to do super chats and things. I love it when you do. It's obviously fantastic. I really appreciate the support. But as I said earlier, times are really tough for everybody. So, you know. But yeah, Mars is still a chocolate bar. Repo. Mars is still a chocolate bar. What do we go to? We look at Alex Scott, weren't we? Alex Scott. Let's have a look at this geezer. I mean, listen, he is a very good player, but what's his stats saying? Shot creating actions from fouls drawn. So he's good at picking up free kicks. He's good at pressing. Tackles in the final third. Very impressive. He'll tackle people well that... yeah, so he doesn't... Yeah, he tries. He's a trier. God loves a trier. When people are dribbling at him, he tries to tackle them. Doesn't really do too well. Doesn't make very many errors, which is always good. You know, errors are the transition catalyst. That's everything starts with a transition, and every transition starts with an error. Take-ons attempted, 91st percentile. Successful take-ons, 1 in 3. I mean, my man Odebear's got better stats at take-ons than that in the last few games, and yet some people tell me that he doesn't take any players on. You know, progressive carries, very good. Carries into the final third, very good. Yeah, look, I'm kind of with Michael a little bit. Like, I don't think he's average. I think he's a very nice and neat and tidy player, but he's not someone that I think that massively moves the needle. I don't think so. He's still he's just turned 22, but yeah, no more kids maybe. I think you're right there, Michael. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, explain the difference. I think you're right, mate. Homegrown. For me, he's not the solution. Like, I want to see us get a proper baller. And Adam Wharton would be unbelievable. It would solve so much of our issues, so many of our issues. But I think that's entirely unlikely to happen. You know, I think it's entirely unlikely. But if you could find a way to make it happen. But like I say, we do need to find some homegrown players. Whoever it was that made that point about who comes out of the Champions League squad if you go and get a Rodrigo, or if you go and get a player like Vlahovic or a player like Jonathan David, whoever, you know. The player I was looking at, thinking on the left-hand side that we haven't spoken about for a long time, was Pedro Gonçalves. You know, player who plays at Sporting, unbelievable versatility, unbelievable numbers year after year after year. But I didn't realise, but he just signed a new contract a couple of months ago. So he ain't going anywhere. Committed himself. Big up to Frostbite over in New Zealand. What time is it in New Zealand? Must be like 4 a.m. or something. Big up to you, Frostbite. Thank you very much, mate. It's very nice of you. He says, I think we should go for Hugo Larsson. I'm a big fan of Larsson. Massive fan of him. Massive fan of Hugo Larsson. I think he's a really good player. But whether or not he will leave Frankfurt, I mean, Frankfurt just always have good players, don't they? Always have good players. Great player, though. Really good player. Big fan of his. Big up to you, mate. Thank you very much. And Adam Horlock as well. Big up to you, Adam. Says, I believe we bid 70 million and I believe we bid 70 million Semenyo and get him on the 1st of Jan. Well, listen, mate. Adam, I like the way you're dreaming, bro. I like the way you're dreaming. Dream on, though. Dream on. If that happens, I'll doth tip my hat to you, sir. But I don't think so. Keith Smith, yeah. Keith Smith, great player. Berghvall will be homegrown next year. Yeah. isn't Pape Sarr now also homegrown? I'm pretty sure Pape Sarr qualifies as a homegrown. Big up to you. Big up to Adam. Thank you very much, mate. Big up to Frostbite. Thank you very much indeed, guys. Appreciate you. What are the other stories I want to bring to your attention quickly? Jared Bowen and Takefuso Kubo. Right, so let's do Kubo first. This came out this morning. Tottenham Hotspur are reportedly willing to pay. This is crazy. Takefuso Kubo's 60 million euro release clause from Sociedad. Defensa Central are saying that we are determined to fully pursue him. But he's got a 50% sell-on fee because Real Madrid still own 50% of Kubo's rights. And they'll get 30 million euros. So we've got to pay a lot of money. We won't be able to get him any cheaper than the release clause because he's really important to Sociedad and they'll only get 30 million euros for him because 30 million is owed by 50%. You bought a player with 50% sell-on fee. Oh, crazy, isn't it? But look, I think I agree with you, Billy. I think he's too lightweight. He is a very cool player, though. He's very interesting. He's lovely to watch. And look, you can't have everybody in your team can't be monsters. I said before, like there's the trend, and the trend is your friend. But at the same time, you still need that kind of, yin and the yang. You need the little and large a little bit, right? But for me, I don't think he's the sort of guy. I'm always excited when we sign a new player. I'll always back them and stuff. But if you gave me an option of like 10 wingers, most of the names we know about and spoken about, he's not on my top of my list. I'd rather have Antonio Nusa than Kubo. I know Kubo's a right winger. And that's the other thing, he's a right winger as well. He's not a left winger. He's played a bit everywhere, but he's a right winger. So what are we doing? We're putting him on the right. We're moving Kudus somewhere else onto the left. But Kudus doesn't like playing on the left-hand side. So riddle me that. And Ndye's got very little output. And Ndye's really looks great, loads of tricks and stuff, but doesn't have a lot of output. Are you looking for your forwards to have more output than we have? Apparently, I'm told that's a lot of the concern, that our forwards don't do assists and goals. And I think that's fair. But so Ndye doesn't do that. I think he's only ever scored one goal for Everton. He's very good at the creation. Very good at the creation. I think people too much is kind of leaned into. People don't look a little bit behind the surface, under the surface of the stats on players. They'll talk about Odegaard, for example. 1 goal, 1 assist this season, or two assists, whatever it is. But in the game against Manchester United, I think he had 4 key passes or 3 key passes, 3 take-ons, 100% successful. Progressive passes were up. All of those things that led to chances. Just because he wasn't the guy who took the chance or the guy that presented the chance to someone else doesn't mean that they weren't involved in the build-up. Like, if you're just looking at the pass before the shot or the shot and then going, if he wasn't part of that, then he's not contributing. I think that's really shallow analysis, and I think people need to look a little bit deeper before they come to conclusions, personally. Kevin Sade, I think he's today's hot property. But again, though, it's a sign of the market, right? There's not that many players out there that are going to be available in January that are going to be worldies, unless you go and pay some extortionate money, and then you still have to convince the player to come. Stiller would be great. Angelo Stiller's a great player. Very good player. So let's get the last one for you. Jared Bowen. The Tottenham are interested in Jared Bowen. The West Ham captain could depart if his side are relegated, but it is very unlikely he will leave as long as they stay in the Premier League, according to Pete O'Rourke from Football Insider. West Ham will not allow Bowen to leave in January. Well, that's that one done then. O'Rourke stated that there is no chance Bowen will move in January because West Ham need him to help them stay in the Premier League, and described him as the club captain, the talisman, and the top scorer in the last 4 years. He also said Bowen is definitely not for sale in January. He's already said that. O'Rourke also stated that circumstances might change if West Ham were to be relegated, which could create an opportunity for Bowen to leave, but noted that every time there is speculation, Bowen seems to be content at West Ham. Be interesting to see whether or not he moves to Liverpool for me. He just bought a house in Essex with his missus, Danny Dyer, is it? And So maybe he could come to Tottenham, but I think West Ham fans would be furious. This goes back to the point I think made at the very start of the show an hour and a half ago. If you go and give them Manor Solomon, does that build a bridge? But is the bridge so successful that West Ham stay up, then it wasn't going to help you get the player that you wanted anyway. I would rather see us go and get Lucas Paquetá, because he's not like but Bowen is West Ham, isn't he? Like, I know he came from Hull, but he is like the talisman, like that article said. Whereas Paquetá isn't. They were willing to let Paquetá go, and they were expecting him to leave to go to City. I think you could play Paquetá in the 8. I think you could, as long as bloody Thomas Frank gets off this negativity pot and actually allows us to play a little bit of football at some point. Then we could do bits. Guys, before I jump, I just want to show you my my little intro video for Rabbit Hole Ramblings. Let me see what you think about this.
Welcome to the rabbit hole, where we go deep into the rabbit hole. We're like-minded me. Welcome to the rabbit hole. The truth we see. There's lizard people everywhere. The conspiracies be.
Welcome to the rabbit hole, where we go deep, uninvited from the rabbit hole. The weak-minded sheep for the open-minded people, not the little but the weak. Welcome to the rabbit hole. You sure you wanna be?
We have before us the opportunity to forge a new world order.
We don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society. Flat Earth Society. Flat Earth Society.
And for future generations.
Flat Earth Society. Flat Earth Society. We don't have time for a
new world order.
Place where I learned they never come back. And boy,
There we go. Couple of hours I wasted this morning. I fucking love a conspiracy. My guilty pleasure. If you guys are into conspiracies and you want to know about aliens and 9/11 and reptilians and all that stuff, the link is pinned at the top. Would appreciate anyone go over and smash a subscribe. We're going to be doing loads more videos, loads more shows on that during this international break. Guys, I want to say a massive thank you to everybody for coming in and spending the last hour and a half with me. I'll let you go, and let me see if there's someone else I can redirect you to. Is there anybody else streaming right now? Let's have a little look-see. No, can't see anybody. Can't see anybody. All right, well then, yeah, no problem. Guys, I'll leave it there. Enjoy your rest of your evening, and I'll be back tomorrow with more Spurs. Football Inc. as well might be on later on with Johnny. I'm not sure where he is, but keep a lookout for Football Inc. tonight and definitely tomorrow. And we will also, okay, like I say, I might even do a conspiracy show tonight because I just love it. I love it. A couple of super chats before I round off. James, big up to you, mate. Choo to you. Big up to you, buddy. Thank you very much for your support as well. And Mr. Hall, look, mate, you're very, very generous, buddy, man. You're very, very generous. Thank you very much indeed. Really enjoying getting to see your name in the chat every day as well, buddy. Absolutely smashed it. Well done, Shawnee boy. Appreciate you, mate. I'm gonna say a little bit of fun, just messing around. Anyway, I will leave you all there and see you later on. As always,